Hello everybody and welcome to the beautiful city of Shanghai. Today I'm going to be answering some of your questions from a recent Reddit MEMA on the CSGO Global Offensive Reddit. Let's get into it. How long does it take to create your videos? The quality is the highest on the scene by a massive margin. Well, first off I'd like to shout out Zero, my video producer, and Poggy, my editor, and also another editor called Ramo. They're putting in a lot of effort, to be honest, and the process it kind of goes is I kind of come up with an idea. Maybe I'll go out for a walk. This will be a 10-15 minute walk to try and think of something. And then I'll talk with Zero, who's a player I used to play with as well. He's a really intelligent guy. And basically we have a big talk together, try and think about how we could produce the video, what kind of order it should go in. And then I write a script. I put a lot of time in, so this will probably take over an hour at least. And then he will go through, check the script and make sure it makes a bit of sense, put it in better order. And then I'll record it. Hopefully it won't take me too long, and maybe total for me it's maybe 2 hours, maybe a bit longer if I'm making a mess of it. And then it'll go back to him. He'll go through with the editor, and then they'll go through finding all the B-roll and everything, and I think that takes much longer for them, so maybe 6-7 hours maybe total for one video, and sometimes it's taken a little bit longer. What did you tell the team after falling to 0-2? The mental resilience is insane. I think it's a lot of things, to be honest. I think at 0-2 we played some really terrible Counter-Strike, to be honest, and I think that was kind of encouraging for us because we knew we were so far off our game. Even in the Vitality game, even though I think it was kind of close, I think we were a bit disappointed with the decision making we made. We felt very predictable. I think we were a bit nervous because it's the first big game that some of these guys have really played in their careers. So that was kind of encouraging in itself, that the only way was kind of up. Maybe not so much from the clock game when we threw away the big lead, but also I've kind of been in a situation before and I knew that the main issue you have kind of going 0-2, the main advantage you have going 0-2 is the other team as well is also 0-2, and I think a lot of these teams are very poor at dealing with that. And we can kind of, at least I have the experience of knowing what to do, and then it's kind of build a good mood. You're just building positivity all the time, and I think if you get that right mindset going, you have an advantage in every game, because if you win the game, every time you win, you have to play against a team that's just lost the game, and that's just a part of the mental side of things. You get way more momentum. So once you win that first game at 0-2, that's the hard part. I think from there, it's much easier to play than it is playing, as an example, for a team that was 1-1 and then lost to 1-2. I think you have a big advantage there. And also we've had quite a lot of failure recently in the past. Well, it was a very difficult situation in the past, where we brought them back and we have confidence that we can do this. What steps do you take into developing players into major contenders? Well, I think the key part of that is to not try and develop them into major contenders. It's kind of just taking it day by day, just asking a lot of questions, doing a lot of analysis, coming to a lot of conclusions, really prioritizing practice and trying to make the most out of it. I think sometimes as coaches, like I came to earlier, it feels like you're just pestering and being very annoying, but we just try to help people, and sometimes I think people on your teams might not like you so much, and then hopefully when they see success they understand why you're doing it, and it's not because you're just an annoying person or you're on the backs. It's because we're trying to help them develop as much as possible, right? So it's just kind of taking everything one day at a time and just kind of understanding the bigger picture is that you're not going to see the instant fixes like straight away, right? What coaches do you look up to? Which of the players you coach would be the best coach? God. Who do I look up to? So coaches, then I'll cheat a little bit and say football coach Jurgen Klopp for me. I think man management, getting the best out of people, his charisma and everything for me is just amazing, and I'm not even anything like him, but he's like a big inspiration for me. In Counter-Strike, I would say Zonic for sure, even though I messaged him maybe 5 years ago and didn't get a reply, so I'm okay. And for players who coach would be the best, to be honest, maybe Volt, and Messi, I think as well. I think to be a coach, you need to have like an emotional sort of development and understand like what people are saying and how to react to it and things. I think those two kind of both have that, and they're both very hard workers. They're analytical as well. They watch the demos back and stuff. So probably those two.
Before we continue, let me tell you about today's sponsor.
He's about trying to get them into one-on-ones as he dances back and forth between the box. What a shot on Simple! Oh, Guardian, bye-bye!
Imagine that you could own the exact USP skin that Snax once used in the most legendary moments in CS history. Today's sponsor's ProSkin store specializes in exactly this. They sell skins that have been previously used by top pros. Not only that, for every skin listed, they show highlights that feature that exact skin. It's simple. Open their website and navigate to their market page. You can use the filter to search for skins that were used by your favorite pro. As we will be talking about Snax, I've dug around and noticed that he has a highlight using this M4. We can check out the frags that he did with it. It shows up even though he actually got the gun dropped from his teammate, Hunter, which is very cool because it allows us to see the whole esports history of the skin. You can even check your skins to see if a pro player has used them before. As you can see, they even track my skins. but you'll probably not find any highlights here. Go check out inventory or buy skins owned by pros at the Pro Skin store. What is the hardest part of being a coach? The hardest part of being a coach is probably dealing with losses, especially at events. Especially I think now we have a younger team and they don't really know as well how to deal with a loss because they've not really had setbacks in their careers so far. It sometimes can be very difficult because you're kind of the person that is expected to be stable and bring the rest of the team up and give a direction. Especially when you get eliminated, it's kind of making sure that they don't feel so down, keeping the confidence up and the morale up and everything, and so you can keep everything moving forwards in the right direction. So that's probably the hardest thing. I'd say you also kind of do feel a bit underappreciated at times because you're doing a lot of complaining, moaning, telling people how to fix things, what direction it is, this thing's bad, etc., etc. So probably a mixture of those two. Hey Ash, first off, congratulations on making it through the RMRs. Thank you very much. What made you decide to bring in Tauson? Tauson? I don't even know how to say his name properly still. I know people in the Danish scene had good things to say about him, but the move came as a bit of a surprise. Okay, so what made me bring Tauson? So he was doing very good in Ecstatic for a start. And again, the eye test was fantastic. He was showing a lot of consistency. And as well, I could see he's a real team player. That was super obvious. He was willing to go die for the team, he would make decisions for the team. That was great for me. He was very selfless, and I think you really need that. But also, like you just said, people in the Danish scene had good things to say about his game. And this is what I asked. I asked lots of people, ex-teammates, ex-coaches, what could they say about him? Couldn't find anything bad at all from anybody. It was the most glowing recommendation I think I've ever had for any player. And that made the decision 10 times easier because normally when you have a player, you have no idea anything about them. And when everything you take with a pinch of salt, but there's a few people I could really trust who I could ask about him. And that helped it be a much easier decision for me and be way less of a risk. Hey Ash, I'm currently volunteering at a local esports club and coaching a team of kids. They're in between 11 and 14. Two of them have a hard time dealing with the mental side of things. I know you might not have experience teaching kids, but you're very pedagogical. So to my question, how would you approach a situation like this? As a Swede, I'm happy to see some Swedish representation in the major, and I will be rooting for you. Well, first off, if you are Swedish and you're using a word like pedagogical, which I'm not even quite sure what it means, but I think I can probably guess what it is. How would I approach a situation like this? So I think the problem you will have with working with such young kids is the mental side of things doesn't really exist a lot of the times. I think even for the older players I think I've dealt with before, they don't really consider it much of a problem. So I would say that you just have to go through, show examples and try and work things one at a time and try and prove that these things do exist, try and encourage them to speak about their feelings. And it'll be a very slow process, I imagine. I think the younger it gets, it's probably a little bit harder. So for your job, it's probably completely different to mine. And I don't have the most experience there, but I would just say take it one step at a time. Don't expect everything to happen at once. It's a very, very slow process, and you just try and help build them up as a professional. ZTR has now won 2 times against Falcons and Simple with 2 different teams. Nice. Is he a big part of those wins?
Why is that?
Big ZTR fan, by the way.
I mean, thank you for being a fan. Not many of those.
Not me, no, him.
Yeah, I'm talking to this guy. I mean, I have 100% win rate against Simple.
Yep.
2 games, both in CS2. I think both of them have been lucky to have had a good Vertigo team, since this guy just doesn't bother learning the map. So it's basically been at least a free win on that map in every best of 3, which made it pretty easy. And yeah, overall, I guess I've just had a good teammate as well, and yeah, that's about it.
Nice, so pretty easy win. Thank you.
No worries.
Okay, here, so there's a video here. I have already watched this, and this is a little bit shocking, so I've never seen it before. With you at the helm of Gamer Legion, how long will it be until Harry's prediction comes true? That it is, in fact, coming home. So maybe we want to put a clip in here, because this kind of shocked me to the bones. When will it be coming home? So in football, maybe soon. We're kind of actually getting kind of good. We've sacked our manager as well. I think that was a good decision, so maybe. In cricket, probably not so much, but in Counter-Strike, it might still be a while yet. I think the British Counter-Strike, people involved in Counter-Strike from England, unless you're Messi, I don't think it's coming home anytime soon, so have to keep waiting. How did Volt's experience in the previous majors contribute to the newcomers who want to achieve the taste of big stages and the majors? I think I'd have to ask him, but I don't really know where he is, so... Oh, there he is.
Hello.
Hello. How you doing, Volt?
I'm doing great.
What would you say then?
experience. I mean, I don't know. I feel like my role in this team so far has been just I've been like kind of like a filler, like a, you know, when you're building and like you have small gaps and you just like put something in there to fill it. That's what I feel like sometimes.
Okay.
And with the experience from past majors, I mean,
I think you've had some like wise words to say at times as well. And for me, it's been nice because I can like bounce off things, like you've said, like, we've been to the breach, and I can say with Game Legend on the stage and stuff. So that's been nice to have someone else to talk to about that as well, which has been very helpful.
I think I've been able to relate to past experiences as well. I think I mentioned how I felt like this run kind of was similar to what we did with ITB at the Paris Major, and I still believe that, even with the last games that we've had. I just feel like the vibes just match completely with what we had back then, and I think that's what helped us, even though we didn't have like anyone incredible to carry us through. It was just the energy that made us play so good, and I think it's kind of the same here, and I think that's what's going to make us go even further.
Nice. Well, for that answer the question. Thank you very much.
No problem.
What are the most common bad habits you have seen in less experienced players as a coach? Definitely patience. I think they have very little patience. They expect to be tier 1 players instantly. Watching demos, understanding how to watch demos, knowing why they should watch demos, these things are poor. I think getting into good habits, usually people just play a lot and then they see improvement and they just think, oh, I'll just play a lot forever. So probably those things. Who do you think are the top 5 riflers in the world right now in terms of pure skill and game sense? Right, well, I think this is a difficult one to answer because game sense, I don't really know any of these players. I don't work with any of them. So I will cheat a little bit with number 1 because I'm going to pick siuhy, even though he's an AWPer. And that's because, I mean, he's rifling a lot more now, and whenever we play against him, he just destroys us nearly every time. So until he doesn't do that, I'm going to say he's number 1. I think number 2, I would go with Nico. I just think he's an unbelievable player. He can do every role. He's really good at everything. I think he's just so talented and he's so consistent for so long. He's just close to perfect for me as a rifler. And for now, I think I'd probably put Donk behind him at number 3. And then I think I'll go with Bit because I think his role-wise, he plays difficult roles, but he's so consistent. And he maybe even has the best aim in the entire Counter-Strike scene, to be honest. Probably very close, but unbelievably talented. He seems to make a lot of smart decisions. He's very impactful. And then I would go for, unless I'm missing someone that's not coming to my mind, I'll probably go with Nert from Heroic. And that's because I think he just plays a very annoying style, again, in his roles. I think he kind of gets like the maximum out of everything. I think he's very similar to Flames in a way, Flamesy. But I think I would just go with Nertz for now because I've played against him quite a lot, and it feels like every time we play against him, he just plays really well. He hits his shots. He makes very good decisions. So yeah, I'll go with Nertz for now. Do you think that the Asian scene will ever grow, or is it just the Mongols now? I think that having a really good team is super important into building a region. So for sure in the future, this is kind of what the UK scene's been lacking for a long time, someone that they can look up to and most importantly like aspire to be and try and beat. And this for us in the UK scene, when I was coaching back there, this was like a big motivation for us. So this is definitely a good thing for the Asian scene in my opinion. Brit to Brit, how strong do you have your tea? I love tea. I'd say somewhere between weak and strong, a little bit of milk and no sugar. But yeah, I love tea of course. Did you get good grades in school? I think this is a good question, to be honest. It's kind of a mixture because when I was very young, maybe from the ages of like 8 or 9 till 15 or 16, then yes, I had very good grades. I think I was one of the top in the entire school for quite a long time. And I was even doing extracurricular mathematic competitions and things where the school was volunteering me as the number 1 choice. So yes. And then I got into gaming, and then no, and then things went downhill very, very quickly. I think I just got introduced to Counter-Strike and gaming, and I'm very competitive. I played sports all my life, so it went from yes to poor, and then in England, you do primary school, secondary school, college and university. I got to college, I finished college, very mediocre results, and I decided I just didn't want to do it anymore. I was going to get a job instead, and yeah, but I would not advise this at all. For anyone else, and like I said, I am 34 now, I'm not young, and really now recently it's been getting some success. So this was 15 years or something working jobs I didn't really like so much, and maybe a little bit less. So it's definitely not the good path. I would say to anyone, stay in school. I think also the bonuses I had from being better in school and education, it's helped me more now in coaching, and if I was a little bit more intelligent, then maybe it'd be even better for me. So yes and no, but stay in school, everyone. What do you think about the possibility of receiving an invite to a tier 1 org? Hypothetically, of course. I'm already in one. Easy question. How do you generally scout and how difficult is it? Usually it is data driven, how we scout, or how I like to scout, sorry. Usually it'll come down to consistency. So for example, if we see someone with good numbers in the positions, it's good, but also want to see consistency. When have they kind of stepped up in big games? How have they played on LAN? How long has it been going for? But I think my main strength for scouting is probably my eye test, and that's probably from just watching a lot of demos for a long time and playing as a player for 12 years or something like this, and watching all the big tournaments. And I feel like I really understand what is good Counter-Strike, what good decisions are, and how kind of good movement, aim, and everything looks. I think that's probably my biggest strength, and I think you can probably ask a random person like, oh, that's probably something easy to notice, right? But I think in general I'm really good with the little details and seeing how that looks. So probably how difficult it is, it can be difficult, especially if you can't find the perfect player. If you find the perfect player though, it feels amazing sometimes. If you can get that person as well, that's been the difficult part for us in the last years, but now we are starting to get that. So yeah, the availability is probably the hardest part. Did you watch Moneyball, and do you associate yourself in any way with Brad Pitt? Yeah, I've watched Moneyball. I think I've watched it maybe 4 or 5 times. I think it's a great film. Do I associate myself with Brad Pitt? No. However, Game Legion seem to do, because I did a skit with them, and maybe we can put a clip in there now, but I would definitely not do. Do you think a top 30 British team will ever happen? And what would need to happen to change in the UK team to make it happen? Right now, I would say no. Worryingly, no. I mean, I've been in the UK scene for a very, very long time, and I don't really think anyone's come close. And when they have come close, I wouldn't really call it a British team, it's more of a British majority. I don't really class that as the same thing, to be honest. Maybe you can put together 4 players, maybe, if you get the right ones or some upcomers, but right now I'm not really seeing it so much. And what would need to change? More sponsorship in the UK. I think there's barely anything. I think media in the UK is really harming the scene. Whenever it gets to mainstream media, it's always very negative. I think the whole culture in the UK is just completely wrong, to be honest. As compared to somewhere like Denmark, it's borderline impossible to make it in the UK. I think people don't really support it, parents don't support it, so I'll have to wait still. I don't really think there's any real massively promising teams right now, annoyingly. Maybe one day, but we need some help. ZTR, how does his play style and calling differ from that of siuhy's, and how does it mesh with your coaching? I think calling-wise, it's actually pretty similar in how they do things. I think playstyle-wise, siuhy, when he was with us anyway, he focused more around himself, like he played around himself. That was kind of his role in the team, to be a bit of a star player, entry player. He would vary that quite a lot, and I think that for the team really suited him. I think ZTR he more likes to lean on the players rather than himself, but he knows the responsibility he has to have that as well. So I would say they're pretty similar, and for me it's easier because it feels like I've dealt with it twice now. So it's been really nice to work with both of them, to be honest, and they're both going to have very long, successful careers. Favourite player you've ever coached? I'll say Isaac. I think he's very funny. He's good to work with. Really close to him as well. Yeah, just Isaac. I think he soaks things in, so I'll say Isaac. 3.6k ELO, playing in a top 200 HLTV team as an in-game leader. Congratulations. I'd like to know which team that is. What's one thing I can do to make myself more noticed as an upcoming player and climb in the scene? So like I talked about before, it's consistency is the main thing. So as an in-game leader, what I'd like to see, I'd like to see consistent performances from yourself, playing against better opposition, consistent results, getting over 50% win rate, fixing all your map pulls, showing there's no issues, teammates saying, current teammates saying good things about you, and then just showing like constant results, and eventually you will get noticed. It's just a patience thing. And I think in Counter-Strike, a lot of people don't have a lot of patience. Eventually you will climb if you're doing enough things right. It doesn't happen for everyone the same way, but people get demotivated, but you just need to stick to it and keep going one day at a time. Eventually, if you're good enough, people will notice, for sure. People hear good things about you. And last question, go play Pokemon, little bro. So I guess that's the end of that. And thank you for the questions. I guess I'll see you later.
What do you do as an individual to prep for matches?
I have a traditions, like what I do usually in the morning. Yeah? You're hot. I know. Thank you, Washley.